It was a quiet night in the small town of Brookfield, where the streets were empty and the moon barely lit the darkened sky. Sarah had just moved into an old house at the edge of town. The house, though beautiful, had a strange aura about it. People in town often whispered about it, saying the house had been abandoned for years, but no one really knew why. On her first night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept hearing soft whispers coming from the walls. At first, she thought it was just the wind, but as the night went on, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. It was as if someone was right behind her, speaking just out of reach. The whispers seemed to call her name, softly at first, then louder, almost desperate. Sarah, Sarah. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up, and she got out of bed to investigate. As she walked through the dark hallway, the air grew colder, and the whispers became clearer. She reached the old attic door, which had been locked for years. It creaked open on its own, as though the house had been waiting for her. Inside, the shadows danced across the room and the whispers grew louder. Suddenly, she saw it, an old portrait of a woman on the wall. The woman's eyes seemed to follow her. Sarah stepped closer, and the shadows around the portrait seemed to move, like they were alive. Suddenly, a cold hand touched her shoulder and she spun around, but there was no one there. Panic surged through her. She ran out of the attic and slammed the door behind her. The next morning, Sarah went to the local library to search for answers. The librarian told her that the house once belonged to a woman named Eleanor, who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The town had always believed that Eleanor's spirit still haunted the house. That night, Sarah decided to face her fears. She returned to the house, determined to uncover the truth. As she stepped into the attic once again, the whispers returned, louder than before. The shadows danced more violently, and she felt a presence. Something was watching her. But this time, Sarah wasn't scared. She reached out and touched the portrait of Eleanor. The moment she did, the room seemed to freeze. The whispers stopped. The shadows fell still. And then, Sarah saw it. The truth. The shadows were not evil spirits. They were memories. Fragments of Eleanor's life, trapped in time. With that realization, the house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The oppressive feeling that had lingered in the air lifted, and the whispers faded into silence. Sarah knew now that Eleanor was at peace, and the house was finally free of its dark past. As Sarah left the house, she felt a strange sense of closure. She smiled, knowing that she had helped a restless spirit find peace, and the house could now rest in tranquility.